What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Switch Talk, the perfectly pocket-sized podcast where we talk about this hybrid console that has stolen our hearts and minds, the Nintendo Switch. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy holidays to you. We're coming up to an exciting time. The Poke fans are finally getting their due. We have on our hands here Pokemon Let's Go, both the Eevee and Pikachu edition to talk about today, and we're super psyched. I mean, I think we're all Pokemon fans here. I am joined by my illustrious co-hosts, Clay Howard and David Jones, and they're going to enlighten us with their thoughts on the game. I want to thank every single person that tunes in to the YouTube and subscribes to us and watches the show. It means so much to us. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and we're very excited. Long story short, people, this game has me, and I didn't think it was going to have me as much as it would. A lot of people are waiting for Gen 8, but this Pokemon Yellow remake hybrid, has the Pokemon Go mobile game mechanics thing. It was a long shot, but overall I would say it succeeded. I'm going to throw it over to Clay. What do you think, Clay? What's this game like?
Yeah, I mean, I heard my friend describe it this way, and I think it's a pretty good way of describing it. I think it's the perfect middle ground for the hardcore fans and maybe the new fans of Pokemon that have maybe jumped in the last couple years, or maybe might just be completely new to the series altogether. And so, and I mostly agree with that. I mean, I'm sure there's even more hardcore fans that maybe it's not for it, but someone like me who's played since, Pokemon Red, it's perfect. I have a great time. I'm loving it so far. I've put about 16 hours in, I think. And me and my wife both got a copy, one each. She got Eevee, I got Pikachu, and we've been playing nonstop. It's been great. I'm loving it. So.
You sent me a picture of you guys playing side by side, which I think is great. And it's not something that I think came to mind when we were talking about, what was important to hit. But it's definitely bringing people together. The accessibility of the game is going to bring it. To be a new Pokemon fan or a young person getting my hands on this, I'd be blown away. I mean, it's just... I think it's a great entry in the series, and yeah, it was so cool to see you and your wife playing, and you having both copies, so you can do the trading or whatever you guys are gonna do, to collect them all. So that's great. David, what do you think, David?
So I was kind of really pessimistic going into the game. And I think a lot of my criticisms and worries I still stand by a lot of that. But I'd like to just sort of preface everything that I say about this game in this episode is that I have logged 20 hours in 2 days and I haven't really stopped playing. So it is still really, really fun. But I do think that there are a lot of really frustrating flaws with the game that kind of make me upset a little bit. And it's kind of... I don't understand some of it, but in particular, we'll get into this a little more deeper later, the way that the controls are locked entirely different between handheld and docked, I found really frustrating and makes no sense because it's there. They made a control scheme and then not have it available in dock mode is really bizarre, and some of the Pokemon Go mechanics I'm not a massive fan of, but some of the other new things I am a big fan of. Some of the stuff legitimately makes it more enjoyable, like random encounters, Pokemon box in your hand, stuff like that. So I think it's kind of a mixed bag, but on the other hand, it's finally Pokemon on my TV, my giant TV and surround sound, and I can sit on the couch and play Pokemon like I've wanted to for the last 20 years. So that is really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting move, them going with this, remake, with this, obviously working hand in hand with the Go app, which has become really popular with the mobile crowd, the people who've latched onto that. It's just interesting. I thought about what would happen if this game would have come out year one, because I think the mobile game is... I'm sure it's still hot, but the popularity is going to wane over time, just like anything. But I think that it was a good move. Having it on the Switch, I agree, is great. So the idea of remaking a classic and going backwards in a sense, but updating with the new mechanics, I think largely works. The way that it goes is you are doing a kind of a there are story elements that are very similar to those original games. So when you look back at Yellow, and you have the same characters, same map, the original 151 Pokemon are what we're working with here, and you're capturing Pokemon with a simple either motion control, simple throw, or time button press. And it's extremely simple. You see the Pokemon in the world, and they are to scale, or, you know, they're definitely trying to make it appear like the large Pokemon are large in the map, and it's very impressive to see. But you are able to control which Pokemon you are encountering instead of doing a random encounter where there's nothing on the map, you're walking through grass, and all of a sudden there's a Zubat. So this is like a huge change. How you're capturing Pokemon, again, simple. And then the battling returns to the classic. Usually it's 1v1, 4 attacks and evolutions and things like that. All very standard. One thing I couldn't shake about the thing was how much I enjoyed the Pokeball. So we all get it? David, did you get it? Me and Clay have the ball.
I did. I got it.
So we're all rocking our little peripheral that God knows what we're going to do after the game is done with. But it works very well. It feels good in the hand. It has sounds of every Pokemon cry that comes from it when you're capturing. The lights and sounds is just great. It's a little joystick is what it is. And you can play the whole game moving the little joystick on the ball, and then you can literally motion control, kind of like fling it a little bit, flick it forward, and use it. I think it works, except sometimes when you're capturing Pokemon, just like in the mobile game, they're kind of moving around a little bit, and it's hard to judge. The trick is to make sure that the part of the Pokeball that separates the red and the white, there's like a line, and I figured out that if that line is kind of horizontal to the ground with you, that's when the Pokeball it's letting you know this is how you're supposed to hold it. Overall, I would say it works. What do you think about the controls, the Pokeball, and just the way that you're capturing, Clay?
I know for me, I don't know, everybody doesn't like the motion controls. I haven't heard really anybody who likes it. My wife gets frustrated with it. It seems a little bit easier with the Pokeball. I also played with the Joy-Con a little bit, and I was struggling a little more. But, I mean, you can throw to the left and the right, but it really is just easiest to throw it straight on. But it'll randomly just not be accurate sometimes. I like the Pokeball. I thought it was actually pretty cool. At first, I wasn't sure how I thought about it. And then as I played more, I started to appreciate it a little bit more. Every now and then it's frustrating when you're trying to press down or press in the joystick, but you accidentally press down or up in that process, so that gets a little frustrating. And then it took me a while to figure out how to get into my Pokebox, because you have to press Y. And come to find out with the Pokeball, you have to use the motion in it to press Y.
You have to shake it, right? That's the third button. Is like shaking the ball.
It took me a while. My wife had to like Google it for me because I could not figure it out. And I was like, "There's got to be a way." I couldn't figure it out. But
yeah, they don't update the UI for you at all when you have the Pokemon.
Right,
Pokeball.
which is weird.
There's no instructions in the box.
Yeah, the instructions are worthless. When I first got the game, I went to the Joy-Con Connect screen on the main menu to try to connect my Pokeball, but it turns out you just literally need to go into the game, and then from there it connects, which it was really easy. If you just go straight into the game, it's really easy to connect. So at first I was a little skeptical. I wasn't sure. The whole one-handed controls thing was weird, but now it's super chill, and I like it. Minus the motion throwing. I like using the little Pokeball and only having to use one hand. It's kind of cool. What do you think, Dave?
I think the Pokeball is trash.
You're trash.
Oh my! You don't appreciate it at all. Doesn't add anything.
I started playing it with that, and then as soon as I transferred my Mew to it, I've put it on my shelf and never touched it again.
He didn't even give it a shot, Tony. He literally.
Yeah, it was such a frustrating experience having to shake it to open a menu, accidentally moving down, and you're trying to click, and then if you hold it the wrong way, which I move my hands around a lot when I play. If you get it positioned the wrong way, there's no way to know without visually looking at your hand if you're holding it the right way, and I would often get the Pokeball turned around in my hand and end up going the wrong way.
He's not wrong.
To move your eyes down? That's so tough.
Yeah, no,
he's
it's
not wrong.
Design.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
So I went to the single Joy-Con, which it took me a little bit getting used to it doing with one hand. So right now, I sort of do kind of a hybrid. Sometimes I'll play it with one hand. And I found that what I like best is actually holding a single Joy-Con with two hands, and doing it in my left hand with my thumbstick, and then have my right hand hit the buttons. Or just play it entirely with my left hand. I don't like playing it with my right hand at all. So it's like one of those other two.
I think that's...
But, it's the best in handheld for sure, control-wise. Unfortunately, the motion...
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's kind of frustrating that we're all... Like, the most exciting thing about this game for me is finally being able to play Pokemon on the TV. And then to sort of limit your control options to have the best control scheme be available in only handheld mode. It was slightly infuriating. It's like, come on, let us play it the way we want. You've built in the mechanics to have us play it with these controls. Why not let us use them when we're docked as well? And I can't really see any logic behind that other than they just think they know best. Like, this is the best way we want you to play.
We've seen a streak of that in Nintendo, especially lately.
It's kind of frustrating.
What do you think about random encounters?
Random encounters, I actually like that. I think that's an improvement.
So the lack of random encounters you like?
Yeah, lack of random encounters. I like being able to not run into a battle if I don't want a Pokemon or if I don't want to fight. Because honestly, in the old game, I would run half the time anyway, so now it just saves me that time of running if I didn't want to be in a battle, which you would end up doing quite a bit when going through those caves and whatnot when you're just trying to go through. So to me, being able to see them, it means that you can get into the battle that you want when you want it, and it feels more realistic too. So I was a little bit skeptical at first, but I think that's a major improvement to the enjoyment of the game, and definitely kept me from getting frustrated and stopping. Like, I felt like I would not have played all through the day if I had random encounters.
It's one of the top things that I see people complain about, like that they're wary of the lack of random encounters. What did you think about it, Clay?
Yeah, I'm with Dave completely. I think it's an improvement. I get some people think that is like a staple in a Pokemon game to have that. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's something in the future you could turn on and off. But I'm with Dave. I think it's nice to be able to choose when you want to battle. And if you don't want, you can just dodge and work your way through. There's been plenty of times where I'm like about to leave an area, and then out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, is that a Mr. Mime? And I'll run back in and I'll grab him real quick. Whereas I probably wouldn't have, it was an area I was backtracking through. I probably wouldn't have waited around in the grass fighting Weedrills or whatever. I would have just kept moving. But I saw Mr. Mime and I went back and got him. I wouldn't have got that otherwise.
It's a good way to know what Pokemon are in the area without having to dig through your Pokedex too, which is really cool.
I totally agree. Yeah. To all those people who are wary about it, you will not miss it. It's more of a JRPG thing that I think you can do without, and they've successfully created something that's better. I think it's three things. You can see the Pokemon and be excited that you actually see them in the world. And then also you get a little bit of experience for capturing Pokemon, which is surprising and I thought was great. It's like a little incentive. And then apparently later you can do the kind of Pokemon Go, like from the mobile game, if you get duplicates, they're worth something. You can send them off and turn them into candies, and it's giving you an incentive to keep doing it. And it's quick. You're in, you're out. When you're capturing. So I like it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
I do want to comment though that while I do so that I do like the lack of random battles, I do wish the old capture mechanic was in place. Like, I think a hybrid of the two, like the old battling Pokemon with the no random encounters, I think that would be the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just feels, well, because of the motion controls too, some of them just feel frustrating and just luck and completely random whether you get them or not. And it just feels less special when you catch a Pokemon if you can just catch like 100 at once. And it makes, I think, grinding a little bit too easy. And I'm honestly, how I'm playing the game, I'm not catching a ton of Pokemon. And I'm getting most of my experience from random battles. Just because I don't like the motion controls, and I think it'll make the game too easy. Because seeing how much experience you get from capturing Pokemon seems a little bit excessive.
You do get a lot.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of playing mainly from, if I really want to catch something, I'll catch it. I want to make sure I fill up my Pokédex, so I'm catching everything in the area to get my entries. If I need to cut maybe sometimes 2 of some of them that I know that I'll need, but I'm not like catching like 10 Pidgeys just to like, just for the sake of it. And then I'm just doing every battle. And so far it's actually worked out pretty well. I haven't gotten to the point where the battles are too hard, but it feels a little bit more challenging than I think it would be if I just went and captured everything and maxed out all my Pokemon right away.
What did you think about the other side of the coin now, battling Clay? Like, what do you think about how that goes?
Battling seems fine. Seems like it normally is. I mean, obviously they simplified maybe a little bit. I've played X and Y, and I've played Sun and Moon, so I don't know. It's a little bit different, but not much. I mean, it pretty much feels like the old games to me.
Yeah. The battling itself isn't much different. What does seem to be different is when Pokemon learn moves. Like, for example, Pikachu learns Thunder at like level 30 instead of like level 50. So they seem to learn their more powerful moves sooner.
It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. You can look online, they've already data mined it all out, and you can compare it to Sun and Moon, and they learn significantly less moves, and they learn their most powerful moves sooner in Let's Go as compared to Sun and Moon. That seems to be the biggest way that it's dumbed down, is that they give you the good stuff sooner. Whereas in Sun and Moon, you would have to work a lot harder to get the most powerful moves.
Again, it's a misconception that if you're not randomly encountering Pokemon and kind of quote-unquote fighting them as you go, there's going to be less battle action, and there's not. There are trainers in the world, again, that you approach, or if you're in their line of sight, they automatically initiate a battle, and they're everywhere. I would say that the game is like a 40-40-20 split. 40% I was capturing, 40% I was battling, 20% I was talking to NPCs and traversing the world, and I think it ended up being a good mix, and I had plenty to do, and nothing overstayed its welcome. The battles are... I ended up increasing the text speed and turning off battle animations to kind of get a little bit more through the game, and it speeds it up a tick, and I like that. It was always something with the game that I thought was odd, even way back in the original, where it's like a little too much text. Like every time you go and heal your Pokemon, they say, okay, thanks for coming, and then another line of text saying, see you next time. You know, it's just a little bit more than I would like. But a lot of quality of life changes here. I was saying that the map feels condensed, like because I've been playing actually the original Yellow recently, right before the game came out, and it feels like the map is condensed in a way, or scaled in a way, where you're not wasting a lot of time walking through towns. Like the buildings seem compact. As soon as you get out of the city, right away, it's like, okay, Pokemon are right there to catch. I felt like it took less time to run around. Part of that is the no random encounters. But I feel like everything was scaled in a way to make quality of life better and make the game move at a faster clip.
Yeah. I think you walk faster and your character is sort of bigger in comparison to the buildings than it was in Red and Blue. So that probably contributes to it as well.
Yeah.
Did you guys particularly like the look of it? I've seen some complaints about that. I'm in love with how the Pokemon look, the art style that was chosen. What did you guys think? Who wants to go on that?
Yeah, I'll take it. I've seen a lot of people complaining for some reason. I think it looks freaking beautiful.
I'm like, beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably have gone even like in a more detailed, higher graphic look, but I mean, it's still got that cartoony look, but I don't know, but it still looks HD. I think the lines are crisp. I think the art is good. I mean, I just get excited every time I see a new Pokemon, because it's like, oh, that's what they look like in this game, and it just, I don't know, it looks really good. I don't understand why people are complaining. I think it still has a somewhat cartoony and fun look to it, but it still retains all of its stuff. Tony, the fact that you turned off fighting animations is kind of blasphemy.
Temporarily,
that makes
just
me
to
sad.
get a little bit more through the game. I don't need to see leech seeds like 3 little plants come
Yeah,
up.
why don't you go play Pokemon Blue?
Every time. I was just temporary. I'm going to turn them back on. I just wanted to see more of the chunk of the game.
Fair enough.
Tech speed, though, that needs an ultra speed. Anyway, keep going, Dave.
Real quick on the art style, I think why people might be complaining is I do think Sun and Moon looks better. Not like, okay, but not by, obviously the resolution's a lot better, but I mean just the general aesthetic feel and the way the characters are proportioned. I think it's a bit better in Sun and Moon, but it still looks good, and it's still better than X and Y and every other previous Pokemon game, so it's not much of a complaint, really. I think they tried to make it look a little bit like the anime, and I think they were trying to look for kind of a hybrid style between the game and the anime with Let's Go. Yeah. And that's why it looks a little bit different and maybe not quite as sort of artistic and aesthetically pleasing as Sun and Moon would. Because if you've ever seen Sun and Moon running in high def on like an emulator, which don't piracy, but it looks freaking fantastic. It's really hamstrung by the 240p screen of the 3DS, and I think a lot of people were hoping that that's what they would get, and instead they kind of got a little bit different of an art style, which I think is fine. They both look good, but I understand the preference to that other art style as well.
I agree. I couldn't put my finger on it. I just kept looking at stuff and loving the look. I think it's something about it being a hybrid of the kind of like the mobile app art style, but yes, the anime that everyone loves, the show. It just looks like that, and I love it. I was very impressed by the transition between the overworld and battles. Like, for some reason, there's just this added visual flair. These colors come in, the enemy pops in, and then the background shows up, and it's just it's great. The camera angle changes here and there, not as much as I would like in a Pokemon Stadium, but you do see some angles change and things like that. The actual attacks, some of them are great. Seismic toss, you go zoom out and there's the world and your Pokemon flies all the way up and is slammed down. Some of those are great, and I can't wait to see more moves, like you were saying. I think it overall was great. There's some, I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a spoiler. There's some of the battle transitions that are just whoa, they change artistic style. I don't know if you guys know which one I'm talking about, but it's just great. There's a lot of attention to detail graphically, and I love the style that they chose. Going back to quality of life really quick, you guys were talking about, and this is something I didn't even think about the Pokebox and all that stuff. Clay, what was that about you were mentioning?
Yeah. So in previous games, if you wanted to switch out Pokemon into your party, you had to go to a Pokestop, go to a computer, and switch out. Or, and if you wanted to trade Pokemon with somebody online, you had to go to the Poke Center. Now all of this can be done wherever you're at in the game. You can switch Pokemon out. You can, if one faints and you get back to walking around, you could get rid of that Pokemon and put another one in. All this stuff, it saves you these multiple trips back and forth to the Pokestop or the Poke Center or whatever if you don't need to. And so at first it was kind of weirding me out. I'm like, wait, I can do everything on my person, but that's just what they did, and they decided to kind of streamline that a little bit, which I was totally about, because it saved me multiple trips, and my wife, who likes to play where she wants to keep all of her Pokemon that she likes at the same level, she can switch out her party, or if she only wants to power up 3 Pokemon, she can take everybody out of her party but 3, and then do them, and then switch back before she fights a trainer. It gives you a little bit more freedom to change out Pokemon and stuff on a whim, which is kind of cool. I like it. I think it's nice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was there shared experience after every battle or capture, or after every battle in the original Yellow? Because right now, if you win a battle, you get experience for every Pokemon that has actually participated. So if you switch between 2, it says that they get 45 experience, whatever it is each. And then I think you get a little bit more if it's just one Pokemon fighting, but then it also says your party is leveling up. Again, that was not
a thing in Yellow.
Huge quality of life improvement. You don't have to have your whole 5 Pokemon team sitting there lifeless, not growing, and switch them out and having to play 4 times as much grinding. I thought that was wonderful. And my biggest thing that I think about all the time is, okay, do I want to level this person? Do I want them in the team getting that drip of experience as I go? It's interesting. David, I wanted to ask you, was there anything that you didn't like about the game that we didn't touch? Because you had a lot of complaints and you shared some, but anything else?
I think I've went over most of the major flaws. There's some general feelings that I'll probably get into right near the end. About just how all these things can kind of contribute in a way. But it's mainly the controls, the catch mechanic, I think, are the 2 big issues, and it's not really new, I guess. It's very nostalgia based.
Did you find the game, how'd you find the difficulty level of the game? Because, again,
it's fine for me, but I'm making it purposely difficult for myself because I'm not really grinding for candy. If you just catch a ton of Pokemon, supercharge all your Pokemon with candy, and get constant catching experience, it'll be super easy. Like, right now, I'm just catching what I need and battling every trainer I see. Sort of like more to like how I would play a traditional Pokemon game. And it's still difficult in places, but it's still, a lot of battles are still pretty easy. So I can only imagine what this game would be if I was grinding all those candies and catching everything in sight just for fun. Like, I imagine this game would be super easy to just blow through without losing a single battle. As is right now, I think I've lost 2 or 3 battles.
Okay.
Just because I think Lieutenant Surge, just my team wasn't very good against Electric. So I lost to him 1 or 2 times, and that's been it.
How about you, Clay?
Okay. All right, so I got a couple thoughts. First thing I did, a lot of what I was hearing was that Pikachu and Eevee were kind of overpowered, being the title characters. And so basically what I did was I used Pikachu for a little bit, and then I basically put him on the sidelines. He still rides on my shoulder, but he is not in my party, and so he's gotten way behind. So I thought maybe that would help me make it a little more challenging for me. I noticed my wife kept Eevee in, and like not even a quarter of the way through the game, there's this character that you meet at a Poke Center that can help you equip these moves for Eevee. And you can basically, I don't know if this is a spoiler, get a move of a water move, a fire move, and a lightning move. And Tony, I think you have all those for free, for no reason. And you can literally have one type of move for each of your moves on Eevee. And just, I feel like from that point out, you're like super OP.
Yeah.
And nobody can touch you.
Another thing I did as well, I actually boxed my Pikachu, caught another Pikachu, and I've been using that one instead.
You cannot evolve your starter main Pokemon, your respective Eevee or Pikachu, and that's.
I'd rather play with a normal one that's not completely OP and that I can evolve to Raichu like a normal starter. To me, having a starter that doesn't evolve isn't as fun, just because I'm used to doing that. So
now, with Dave was talking about, turning your Pokemon over to Professor Oak, turns them into candy, and then you can use that to upgrade their individual stat points. And I will say real quickly before I hand it back to you, I agree, David, that I understand why you didn't do that, but I actually kind of like that about this game because normally I don't really pay attention to stat points in Pokemon games. I'm just like, okay, I got a Pikachu and it's good, but some people are like, no, I'm going to keep catching Pikachu until I find one with good blah 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 stat. But in this one, it's like, all right, if I want to make my Bulbasaur really good at special attacks, I give him a lot of candy, but then I make my Mankey really, really quick by giving him all these candies. So I think it's kind of a fun way to customize your Pokemon without having to like grind catching them and then finding one with the big points that you need. So I don't know. I agree with Dave that it probably makes it a little too easy because you can just keep buffing up your Pokemon. But I think it's cool that you can at least beef them up in certain areas.
I think if they keep the candy like that, they have to make you get less experience from catching them. Because it's like it's not even just that. So when you're just catching all those Pokemon, you're also getting tons of experience points.
Right. So
that plus candy just makes leveling up way too quick, and like you just go out to a field and do that for like an hour, and you can just decimate the game. Which I don't think is a little bit. I think they need to balance it a little bit better if they're going to keep the candy. Which the candy itself, I don't have an issue with. It's just how easy it is to get, I guess.
Fair enough.
Clay hit on it, and I think it's a big positive, a big plus that your Pokemon that you've chosen, Eevee or Pikachu, will ride on your shoulder, and you can also pick one of any Pokemon that you've captured to run around the overview, and you're like a little trio running around. You've seen, I'm sure, clips online of some of the more larger, impressive Pokemon that run alongside of you. You can ride some. It's a visually interesting thing to happen, and it encourages that experimentation, and just I think it's a plus. You can also pet your character with motion controls. It's whatever. I hear that it does make a little bit of a difference in certain ways. My Pokemon has given me like items and things for being happy because I've paid attention to it, but overall it's a little gimmicky, and it's good in a way. I think we can close it up. I think we'll just do our ratings again, just on a 5-star. I think Pokemon Let's Go deserves a 4 out of 5, and that's a solid. I think it impressed me a lot more with its gameplay and the mix of old and new than I thought it would. It's a fairly easy game, but at the same time, it's enjoyable all the way through. It's a game that I'm going to complete. There's this draw to catch them all that hits you again like I didn't think that it would. You won't miss lack of random encounters, the way that you capture Pokemon, the way you're battling Pokemon. It all just works. I think it is skewed more toward a younger audience and supposed to be more accessible. But overall, 4 out of 5 from me.
Nice. I'll go next. Yeah, I think it's a great game. I think it's awesome. If you played the originals, Red, Blue, or Yellow, when you were younger, it's definitely like a love song to that. I think they did a great job remaking it, but not just remaking it, but improving it in some areas. Maybe not improving it in other areas, but like Dave said at the beginning, I think that the faults in this game, they're there, but it's still just a great game. I'll happily give it a 4 out of 5. I think the only thing that would keeps me from giving it a 5 is just that it is a remake and it's not an original like new adventure. But I mean that's kind of a silly thing to dock it for. I don't really hold that against it, so maybe the motion controls, I'll say, it keeps it from being a 5 out of 5 for me. But yeah, I'm with Tony. I totally plan to finish this game, and I think it's a good game to hold us over on the Switch until we can get a proper Pokemon title down the road. So I'd definitely rather have this than nothing at all. So I'm totally happy with it.
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of what you said, but I do think the things that I found wrong with it, and I guess maybe made me a little bit more unhappy. I've got over it, but I'm still playing it a lot. My general feeling after just sort of playing the whole thing is like I feel like everything, the vast majority of what I love about this game is from other sources. There's a lot of nostalgia for the anime, a lot of nostalgia for the original games, and it really, to me, feels like they just smashed Pokemon Go with the anime with Red and Blue. And it's hard for me to say what was introduced in this game alone, that is really, really good. And most of it's all from those other sources. So I guess it's a really fun for what it is, and it's a good tide over for a real Pokemon game, but I have a hard time giving it a good score, especially with how frustrating the controls are right now. So it's really weird for me to rate it because I feel like this is a game you're going to get and you're going to play a ton and I'm going to enjoy it. And I've had a really good time enjoying it, but just because the flaws for me are just so easily fixable, I think I have to give it a 3 out of 5 unless they patch it. If they patch it, it'll be 4 out of 5 for me. But for right now, until the controls are the way they are, I think I have to do 3 out of 5.
Savage.
Yeah.
Savage David Jones. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you're out there and you're a Pokemon fan, give it a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Switch Talk. And I'm pretty sure we're going to catch you with the next Fever, Smash. I'm pretty sure Smash is right around the corner.
I hear a 3 out of 5 coming.
3 out of 5. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah, have a good one.